Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this is my first how-to video, and today guys we're going to be discussing football jigs. So these are here my two favorite types of jigs. We've got the Pro Model jig and we've got just a traditional football jig. And these are made by Strike King, and you can pick them up at Walmart for like $3. It comes with a jig and it comes with two trailers. Alright guys, so one of the problems most people have with jigs is they take them out, they throw them into structure, which these are actually designed for. You know, a jig's not mainly for like open water or anything like that. Jigs are really made for, you see a big lay down or a blow down, you want to toss your jig in there and try to pull what big bass may be hunkered down inside there. So one of the issues people have is they throw the jig in there the first time they buy one, they give it a few pops, and before you know it, you're stuck in a log. So the one thing I'm going to cover today, guys, is how to keep these from getting stuck in the log, and so you can catch more fish. All right, guys, so we're going to start out right here with the modified jig, which is the one I like, the Pro Model. And if you look at it, you can see that it's actually got a pointed tip. And that pointed tip is so that you can actually swim this jig, or you can run it like a football jig, bouncing it across the bottom. One of the big issues I have with jigs though is the way that this right here is set up. If you see that the actual brush guard or the hook guard is going straight down, it's perpendicular with the hook. So what happens is you're pulling this through the water, you're bouncing it, and you come up and you hit something, and everything goes right and the jig stays straight, it goes right across it, no issues. But what typically happens is you pull the jig up, you hit something, and then it hits the edge right here, and that automatically turns it sideways. So when it turns it sideways, the brush guard actually loses all integrity, because it's going to be the first thing that hits, and it's going to push it down, it's going to expose your hook, and the hook is actually going to run right into whatever kind of structure that you're trying to actually avoid. So guys, what I like to do is I like to separate these. You can take the time to count them if you want, it doesn't really matter, but you want to split this in half, just like this right here, and you're going to want to build it like that right there. You want a nice V. And what I do is pick up some nice little hair bands right here. You can pick these here up at Walmart for like $2. So you've got $3 in the jig, two trailers, and $2 in this right here, $5. You're ready to go jig fishing. And all you do, you take one of the bands like so. Give it a nice little stretch, make sure it's all broke in to where you're not going to have any issues. Alright, so afterwards, once you've got your strands here separated, you're just going to take your rubber band, you're going to pull it down in here, and then you're just going to twist it around this. Twist it around all the way until you've used up just about as much of the band as you can without, you know, taxing yourself too much, trying to get it wrapped around there. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be super tight or nothing. You just want to wrap it. With these little rubber bands, you could probably make close to 20 bands wraps around, just like that right there. And then you're just going to snug it up and push it down all the way to the bottom where this meets the jig head. Just like so. Now you're going to take another rubber band and you're going to do the same thing on this side. Alright guys, so there's the finished product on your very first tune that you should put on your jig. As you see, you've got a nice little V. And so now whenever you come through and you hit your branch, it's going to either hit and just deflect all the way over. If it goes sideways, you're going to hit, you're still going to have a guard no matter which way you go. And this is going to allow you to fish structure more confidently, knowing that you've got a lot lower chance of getting snagged. Now, is this 100% effective? No, it's not, but I put 95% effectiveness on this. When the normal jig, I'm saying you've got 20% chance that it's not going to get snagged. So I highly recommend that you make this modification of any modification that I'm going to show you. This is your most important one right here. This will give you confidence. In no way does this compromise the hookup ratio of the bait. All it does is allow you to fish in a heavy structure without losing your jigs constantly. Alright guys, so the next modification I make, if you look, the skirt really hangs down low past the hook. You've got all this extra skirt, which is fine if you're not running a trailer, but in my opinion, if you're throwing a football jig, a modified jig, a swim jig, you're looking for bulk. You know, more than anything, you're wanting to throw something really big. These things put off minimum action. If I throw this out by itself and I'm just swimming it, there is really no action to this whatsoever. You know, it's just a big hunk floating through the water. So you want to add a trailer to it to add action and add even more bulk. So before I add a trailer, I'll take scissors and I'm going to snip it level with the bottom shank of the hook right here. All right, so you should have it sitting about just like that right there. You've got all this extra hook here. You have no skirt hanging down past it. All right, so afterwards, after you get your skirt all cut, what I like to do is I like to have just the pinchers, maybe just the head, sticking out the bottom of the hook like that. So you're going to level up your bait, and you're going to see how far it's going to go up the hook, and then you want to remove the bait from there. That's one of the things I like about the rage crawls is they've got these little notches through here. I don't know if that's just for looks or whatnot, but I like it because it kind of helps me as a gauge. So I'm going to take off to right here to the second one. So it'll be just like that right there. All right, I don't think it really matters the top or bottom, but the rage crawl actually has a slot right here to signify what the bottom is. And so we're just going to go on that and follow through with it. You just want to take it, find center or the best you can, take it all the way through until you get it up to the curve. And once you get to the curve, you want to allow the hook just to go its natural way, right on out through the center or the middle of the bait. Feed it all the way down as far as you can and snug it in there tight. And afterwards, you should have crawls hanging out the bottom of it just like that right there, and the skirt up above it just like that right there. And that is a perfectly modified jig. Leads you from being snagged. If you want to swim it, you've got crawls, and then when it comes down on the drop, you've actually got these crawls flapping in the water up here like they should be. All right, next I'll show you how to do the football jig. All right, so next guys, we're going to go over the football jig. If you see the head of this one right here is actually the shape of a football, and this is made to where when it goes down and it hits the bottom, it actually will stand up on it, and it has a lot harder time actually going through the crevices of rocks or any kind of structure that you're bouncing this along. Now with that being said, when this does come into corners of branches, it does have a tendency to get stuck. So that's one of the reasons why I like the modified jig better, because it's got the pointed head and you kind of got more of a chance, if you're not yanking really hard, for it to work its way between those tight branch spots. So like I said, this is something that you really want to throw in heavy cover, brushes, anything along those lines. So we're going to do the same thing on this, but this time guys, we're going to try to do the three-way one, because there is a three-way. A lot of your pros will actually fan these all the way across. Say I typically like, you know, the V like that right there. The V works great. I really don't have many issues with it set up like that. So that's what I typically do. But for your guys' sake, I will do the multiple, stretching them out here and try to fan these out as much as I possibly can. So there's our first one. Then we'll go over here and we'll do this side. And then once I do that side, I think I'm going to do the middle. All right, you can already start to see it making its form. We're going to go ahead and put a one here in the middle just for good measures, because it should actually flare these other ones out more as I squeeze another band in there, which would be even better. All right, there you have it guys. That's the three-way right there. You got structure all the way across, something for whatever you're hitting to touch before it actually catches the hook, which is good. Now, chances are you're going to come up something like this right here. It's going to catch the head, it's going to hit the band, and it's going to make its way on through. If it comes through and it hits sideways, you got protection there. If it turns this way, you've got protection there. All right, guys, use these techniques, and I promise you, jig fishing will become a lot more fun with you, because you'll be tying on a lot less jigs and hooking up with a lot more fish. Finish this off here. I'm going to go ahead and put the trailer on. This time I'm going to leave the skirt on there, and I'm going to kind of show you guys why I like to cut the skirt. All right, so we'll snug it up. We'll put it on there. As you see, we've got the crawls hanging out the bottom. The skirt's coming all down it, which is perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. But this is where I tend to run into issues with it. Is once you've got this like this, and a fish comes up to hit this, for one, he's got a more chance short striking it, because he's going to go for this big bulk here at the bottom. See, with all that skirt down there, there's a lot of bulk here. It creates a lot of bulk, versus without the skirt, the bulk is up here more, and this looks more like the tail end of the bait. Like I said, bass like to hit this on the fall, but they also like to hit it once it hits the ground and it's laying there like this. They're going to come up, they're going to suck it up, or it's going to be dropping and they're going to come down on it. So you want less short strikes. You want to have your hook exposed as much as possible without overexposing it. That's also one of the reasons why I like to fan these out, because I'm covering my hook up as much as possible without over covering it and without overexposing it. This is a perfectly fine way to set it up. And this right here is a perfectly fine way of setting it up. They both give great bulk, but at the same time, this has got less in the way of the tail end action in case I want to swim this. But this right here has got more bulk on it. Both effective lures, both my favorite ones to use. Above anything else in the water, this is what I like. And why do I like jigs? I like jigs, guys, because you can use these in the spring, summer, fall, winter. It doesn't matter. Bass never stop hitting the football jig. So get out there, get you some football jigs, get on some bass, guys. And don't forget to separate your brush guards. Separate the brush guards, catch less brush. All right, guys, thanks for watching.